Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Elder Geek Game Club. My name is Steve Wilkinson, and joining me, as always, is Phil Summers. Phil, how are you doing?
As always, I feel like I've been gone for a while.
It is true. This is the return of the Holy Trinity. We're back, all three of us. Phil and Randy Asenchak is with us as well. Randy, welcome back.
Thanks. I'm back.
It's been a while.
Coffee.
So, just, how long has it been since all three of us have been on an episode together? I can't even remember.
We skipped 2 Phils. There was 2 Phil-less episodes.
Yeah, Last of Us and Dust. So what was before Dust?
Well, after those 2, then we had the Forgotten episode that Phil and I recorded that was just like,
Didn't work out when
didn't
you
work out.
started to edit it. You had issues or whatever.
Yeah. So now we're here to do DuckTales. So it's probably been 2 months since all three of us have been together to do a show.
Life has been like a hurricane.
Which brings us to our
That was such a shitty setup just to pull that line out. I know.
Great. So we're talking about 2 DuckTales today.
Them's the jokes, folks.
Yeah, we're talking about both DuckTales tonight, right?
Both DuckTales, yeah. So we're doing it a little different than usual. We usually talk about one game, but since this is the new remastered HD version of DuckTales was just released a few weeks ago, and we figured it would be an interesting idea to kind of compare the new one with the classic NES 8-bit version of the game. Because it's rare that something like that happens, and we have that opportunity to do that, where it's a one-to-one kind of comparison.
And not only that, but like Phil happens to also be like a DuckTales master. So
a master?
Well, dude, you you sent me a walkthrough video of it, and it's like 30 minutes long or something like that.
I didn't do very good in it, though. I died a lot.
but still, it's not. If it was Steve or I, it would be like an hour long of footage of just us dying.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll see that on this episode. I don't know if Randy's going to end up using it. But I'm
going to start it with it.
Oh, cool.
Like, out of the gates.
This is me playing DuckTales.
Yeah.
So if you want to make fun of somebody this episode for falling down a hole or whatever, make fun of me. But if there's any, which there probably will be, remastered footage, that will be Randy.
Falling down the hole, dying stupid deaths, that's all me. All me.
So we're not really doing like the full-blown history thing that we usually do at the top of the show, but I guess DuckTales came out, in like 1990, 91, somewhere around there? It was.
I'd go with 89.
89, okay.
Let me
yeah. Whatever. So, but that was kind of like this, there was this time when Capcom and Disney were kind of real hot and heavy with each other.
Oh, yeah.
And,
this was the beginning. Sort of.
There was DuckTales, there was the Mickey Mouse.
And there was also Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers.
Yeah, so the Mickey Mouse, I guess, is like the first, but the Mickey Mouse, I guess we're getting sort of history-ish here. I can't help myself.
We don't have to go too deep, but...
Yeah, the Mickey Mouse, published by Capcom in the U.S., but actually made by Hudson and probably published by Hudson in Japan. So, like, it wasn't like a real Capcom effort, whereas, like, DuckTales was probably made by dudes that made Mega Man. Legit super teams.
Super teams of developers. Super teams, go! All right. So now, many years later, 24 years later, we get a remastered version, redone in full HD with animated characters as opposed to just a little sprites. Not to say that the sprites weren't animated, but these are like cell-shaded looking.
And voice acting.
Yeah, legit DuckTales
it did have
voice
some
acting.
voice acting. Yeah, and a lot of cutscenes.
Certainly many.
Oh yeah,
a lot of cutscenes.
So
I'm just gonna fire into it and go ahead. So I played the original many years ago when it came out, and then for this I also revisited it.
Were you a big fan of the original when it came out, or you just
I was.
Okay.
Yeah, I did really like the original. It's one of the games I know I finished when I was a kid. And this time around, I had to play it, unfortunately, without having a working NES or a cartridge. I had to go the emulation route, and due to a bunch of circumstances involving me reinstalling Windows and all this crap, I basically just had to use a Xbox 360 controller because I didn't feel like digging up all the other drivers and rehooking up my PS3 controller and all that crap. And that really sucked. It was not great playing it on that controller, the NES version. But I was able to play through some of the levels and jogged my memory a bit, and I enjoyed it. I liked it. I think the original game is a classic, and like I said, it's one of those ones that when I think of the Nintendo Entertainment System, that's kind of up there. That would probably go in some top 10 list if I were to ever sit down and make one.
Yeah.
That being said, I checked out the HD version and played that, and I think it's got a lot going for it. I really like the graphics. I really love the animation, and I think just as far as like bringing DuckTales to life and making it look like the cartoon, it's great. I think it controls pretty well. I'll admit I played with like the easy pogo on the HD version. I didn't feel like trying to do the hard pogo thing again, having just experienced that with the emulator. I opted for the easy version. And
are you playing on PC or Wii U? Or were you?
I'm playing on PC.
Okay.
On the Steam.
So either way, you're doing Xbox controller.
Yeah, and I felt like it controlled well on that. I didn't have any problems with it. Because the game felt like it was made to work with an Xbox controller. Or it's probably made to work with all the controllers, but my point being that it worked fine. I didn't have any control issues. The issues I did have, which I mentioned before, I felt like it just had a lot of bloat. I felt like I was constantly... And there's no good way... You can't just hit the B button and a little prompt come up and just like skip cutscene or anything like that. You have to hit the start menu, bring up the menu, select skip cutscene, and I was just doing that every 30.
There's like an extra step, right?
Yeah, and I was doing it a lot because, to be honest with you, I just didn't care. I didn't need everything over explained to me. I felt like the strength of the original game was you're just thrown into these adventures and you go through these different themed levels, and it was a lot of fun. I just felt like they were just setting up all this stuff in the new one, and like it was stopped and you get the coin, and then Launchpad radios you and he has to tell you what the coin's for, and it's like, okay, well, I know the coin is so that I get them all and I open the thing and then I can go fight the boss, and that's all I need to know. I don't care. But there was just way too much of that. I found that to be really distracting, and I felt like it was a case where they just over modernized the game. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like, exactly. I mean, that is what they did do it. Added a tutorial stage, all that kind of stuff. Like,
right. Yeah, that tutorial stage was kind of ridiculous too, because it was just everything was so contrived, and like you run.
I actually had fun on the tutorial stage.
I didn't. Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to say that I didn't enjoy it. I thought it was kind of, as I'm playing, I'm like, this wasn't in the original game. I was kind of confused because you fire up the original game and you're just at the computer system and you pick one of the levels and you do it. This one, you play through the level in the mansion that gets you to the computer room. And I didn't mind it, but like it's not like I felt like I needed a tutorial really badly to teach me like the ins and outs of the games,
No, I agree, but I thought like it still did like some interesting things that were not really explored in the original game, which I thought added like a bit of, I guess, I don't know the word, value like to it. Like I just thought it was like just a cool extra, more.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly that didn't detract from the game for me. Not as much as like I said, the later stuff where I was actually trying to play through the levels and it just kept stopping me, and I just felt like that game. It's kind of like a go kind of thing when you play the original and you're just kind of firing through these levels and it's challenging and you're just, I don't know, you just kind of get lost in it. Whereas this, I just felt like they constantly kept pulling me out of it to try to like set up this large story that, not that I didn't care, I just didn't care.
Not that I don't care, I don't care.
Don't take this wrong, I just don't give a shit.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I just could not find myself to give a crap about modern DuckTales. Like old DuckTales, I thought was great. I still think is great, and I think it holds up amazingly well over the years. And given the choice of the two, I would pick the original over the remake version like every time. The original is, like Steve said, you go in, you hit the ground running, and you're like go, and the only time you stop and take a break is between levels when you like pick your next level kind of thing. Whereas this, it feels slower. The modern version feels slower than the older version. And I think it's funny that you guys said that the game feels over modernized. I think that the game modernized the wrong things. Like when you look at Way Forward, they do a pretty good job of modernizing games to like current day standards. Like they did Double Dragon Neon, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Double Dragon Neon is a really good example of a modernization of a classic game. I think they did a good job with Boy and His Blob. They took a good classic, kids game, and they made another really good kids game based on its concepts. But like the stuff that they modernized with DuckTales they don't feel like they translate well enough today. They took, like, I guess the biggest thing that they took over was like the theme of the game, the DuckTales theme, and then the pogo mechanic, and then that was it. Just nothing really else.
I think they got a little lost in their God, I'm really having a hard time thinking of words tonight. We're recording a little later than normal tonight, so sorry. I might
it's pretty late.
Might be a little off my game here, but I think they got a little lost in just the DuckTales like mythos and universe itself. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It felt like they were just like, "Ooh, we get to do DuckTales," and as opposed to just focusing in on the game aspect of it, they were very focused on like, how can we get as much of the show in here as possible?
Which is funny because
the lore of DuckTales.
Yeah, which is funny because like the original didn't really need that lore because it had the logo on the box, and if you wanted DuckTales lore, you just turned off your game at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock and you watched the DuckTales. Whereas like DuckTales isn't on TV anymore,
Yeah.
And some of the cutscene stuff's cool. I agree that the stuff with like every time you pick up a major coin, it stops the action, like that killed it a little bit. Like, I didn't like that. Some of the stuff in between stages wasn't bad. I mean, they needed to like edit some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of it was real long. I did, as a fan of the show, I've actually been watching the show with my daughters recently because I have a whole ton of them on Amazon Prime. So I sat and I paid attention to the story, and I mean, it was kind of fun. I mean, like, even though it's totally needless and they don't need to do it, like, there's a reason why there's a giant mouse on the moon eating cheese, and there's like a reason why this Dracula duck shows up at the end of the game. Like, there's a whole plot to it, and it kind of feels like a lost episode of the show, and I'm sure that's what they were going for. But too chatty, needed to really cut back. And so not only did they need to just cut a lot of scenes completely, like we didn't need to chat for each coin, but even the key scenes needed to really be pulled back a little bit. Now, I don't know, maybe there was like a deal where like these voice actors had to say a certain amount of lines to even want to show up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe
might be
there's
right.
maybe there was some kind of deal where like, the guy's doing Scrooge is like 93 or something right now, and it's like maybe he's like, you're gonna get me in there, I'm gonna at least say like 15-20 minutes worth of dialogue. I don't know. That's just a thought.
Possible. And to be fair, I mean, the voice, like we said, I think Randy pointed out earlier, the voice acting is excellent. I mean, it's all
really, really good. Yeah.
I'm pretty certain like most of the old cast is there. I mean, the only one that I think was maybe not real was the guy that did Fenton, which is also Gizmo Duck. But I think
really?
I think everybody else on the like spot on. He may have been the same voice, but
his voice might have changed.
Yeah, he was the only one to me that I thought, oh, maybe that's not him. But yeah, they're all really close, if not them, which is pretty impressive to like like, it's cool. I mean, I understand that it's cool to like get that cast together and bring them into this classic game. Like, it's a cool idea.
It could have been cooler for them to get the cast together and make like a DuckTales movie, like they should have done like a long time ago.
Well, that's not happening. So you got to take what you can get. They already made DuckTales movie before. Remember Treasure of the Lost Lamp? I think.
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I remember seeing it in the movies.
How about that?
Yeah,
they find like a genie. Yep. Yeah, it exists. Randy, go watch it.
Yeah, I'll look it up. I'll
Secret
see if I
DuckTales
can.
movie.
I definitely think they were going for fan service, and like you said, Phil, they were trying to create like a lost episode kind of thing. And to your point, Randy, yeah, I mean, the thing that the original game had an advantage was that it was current at the time when it came out, so you didn't need to set up a bunch of stuff and reintroduce these characters and kind of flesh out all this stuff that's going on. I mean, obviously, also the technology wasn't where it is today to be able to do that at the level they did it. But yeah, it just felt like too much.
I think my other big problem was, at the time when I was playing it, I was also playing Rayman Legends. And the two are night and day in terms of, like, I don't want to say quality, but yeah, I guess quality of, like, platformer. Like, Rayman Legends is amazing. It's fast-paced, great controls, like, you're constantly doing something, it's super challenging, and, like, it's always go, 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 go. Whereas, like, DuckTales, it was like, go, stop, wait,
You mean with all the cutscenes and stuff?
With all the cutscenes, like even just in between, like even in between, like every enemy on screen, it just felt like there was so much space you could drive a dump truck between you and every enemy on the screen. Like, I feel like a modern, if I were the game director, I would have found some different way to use the pogo mechanic and make like a modernized DuckTale game. You know,
well, they definitely. I mean, and this might, I would say, maybe to their credit is that they really did recreate the levels and the challenges and everything really accurately.
Right.
There wasn't a lot that was drastically different.
So I mean, the question that comes up is, in a game like this, like Randy, you say you prefer the NES one to this one. But, like,
you don't?
I like them both.
Oh.
I guess maybe I prefer the NES one, but I like this one a lot. What I like about it, I do like how different it is in a way. Like, okay, so one of the things we kind of touched on is you go to the first level and you get these coins, which if you played the NES one and you never played this, you're just like, what are you talking about? So every single level has something you need to collect. So the first stage, they added like these 8 coins. You have to find these 8 coins. And that's their way of padding the game out. Because really, DuckTales, if you just blast right through it and you're good at it, you can win in like 20 minutes. So, you know, they want to sell this game for $15. So they got to pad it, and they needed to come up with some ways to make it seem like a longer experience. Like for me, first time I played through it, watching all the cutscenes, dying regularly and all that, it took me about like 2.5 to 3 hours to get through it. So in that way, they've kind of like tripled the length of the game a little bit. So I could see why people hate that, but at the same time, like I kind of enjoy that it wasn't the same exact experience. You know what I mean? Like I didn't pay that money, and I didn't just plow through it in 20 minutes like I would have if I'd fired it up on the Nintendo. Like I'm glad I got a little something different. At the same time, I do see how that kind of stuff kind of works against it. Like it does kind of ruin the pace of it. What I like about the Nintendo one is that the stages are kind of open-ended. They're they're kind of actually non-linear to a degree. Like there's some of them have all sorts of paths and all that.
Yeah.
And really, like, you can either find the straightest path and win the game as fast as you can, or you can try and find as much gold as you can, and you really, like, got to scout, you know, really go through those stages and learn them well. So, like, what this game does is areas that would be, like, secret areas on the Nintendo one become areas you have to go to get, like, these coins or get this thing to press on. So, yeah, they feel like very different games because of that. You know, one is just like a kind of a straight up action, and even though you're going through the same stages, it just has a totally different like pace to it. And I like that. I think it's cool that it's different. My biggest beef, I love the pogo. I don't think they need to do anything with the pogo, but because it's such a cool, like, unique mechanic that really hasn't ever been used in anything other than DuckTales 1 and 2. But in the new one, it's broken. Did you guys have any times where it didn't work? Like, it just didn't work?
No, it worked pretty good for me, actually. But maybe I used the auto focus.
I heard they patched the PC one, like, really quickly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I downloaded a patch almost immediately after I installed it, yeah.
I know they had a lot of bugs, and there's a possibility they fixed the pogo. So, the biggest beef I have, I played on Wii U. The biggest beef I have is not only does it not work, but they also changed it. So, on the Nintendo one, so how to do the pogo is you press down and you press B. You hold these two in, and he will jump. And once he does his pogo, all you have to do is just hold in B, and then you can control him, and he's still just going to keep pogoing. So it doesn't matter if you hit down or B first, or B or down. It doesn't matter which way. As long as you hit that combination of buttons, he's going to do the pogo move, and he'll move on. So in the new one, you have to, if I'm getting this right, you have to press down first, then B. So there's like this tiny little, if you're like totally used to the Nintendo one, it's like this tiny little tweak that really throws you off. So that kind of took me a while to get to adjust to, because there were times where I was not pogoing, and it was because I was hitting B first, then down, and that just won't work.
Yeah, I didn't run into that issue.
So and like I said, I did the easy pogo, so I was just like...
Right. But here's the thing. I tried easy pogo, And Pogo just won't work sometimes. Like, sometimes you will hit the button, and he doesn't go into it. Like, he just will not do it, and then you just take a hit. And I thought maybe I was going kind of crazy, and then like I was reading online, and that was like a pretty common issue. They may have fixed both of those issues with that patch. I don't know. And
yeah, I'm not.
you guys didn't
Maybe it happened to me, and I just thought I screwed up and didn't think that it was something with the game, and just figured it was something I did wrong.
Yeah, so I mean, to me that's the biggest problem. The biggest problem, because for all the cutscenes, I mean, even though it's a pain to skip them, you can still skip them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the core game mechanic not working is just like how could you let that happen? You know what I mean? Like how like it's like playing Contra and sometimes your gun doesn't shoot. It's like really like your gun's not going to shoot right now.
Jams.
Right? Yeah. So like that's the I hate like that's just I can't believe they released a game like that. But yeah, I think it's a cool game. I like that they also added the stage, as I said, like they added that tutorial stage. I thought that was kind of cool. Like it had some new fun ideas that weren't used in the original. Had like a cool boss fight. And speaking of the boss fights, they're all totally redone. They're pretty hard, and I think they're a lot of fun. I think they're really cool. And then there's a brand new final stage. So in the old NES game, your final stage is you travel back to Transylvania, which kind of sucks. Because you've already been there actually 3 times, which is playing through the NES one became a new problem of mine. I hate that you have to go to Transylvania 3 times. So, and you have to go that second time because they make you go back to find a key to get into the mines, and you can't find that key in Transylvania unless you visit the mines first, which is kind of this weird thing. Yeah, so they added this new final stage, which I've heard a lot of people complain about and say it was very hard. I didn't seem to have too much of a problem getting through it, but I thought it was cool. Like they really took like the whole pogo mechanic and they like did everything they could to like get the most out of that idea. And I thought it was a fun stage. I mean, yeah, it was kind of challenging or whatever, but it was just cool that it was there. I just enjoyed it. One of the things I thought was crazy is I played through it on normal and I played through it on hard. And I thought hard was easier than normal.
Really?
Yeah, so normal, you find more hearts, so you have more health. On hard, you don't get those hearts, but they throw extra guys out like candy. They just give out so many extra guys.
I got ya. Yeah.
By the time I got to the final stage, I think I had like 14 guys. Just a ton of guys, because they just get so many. When
you say guys, you mean you're meaning extra
lives, yeah.
Extra lives,
okay.
Yes. Sorry.
Just in case anybody listening, I knew what you meant, but just in case anybody listening is like, the hell's he talking about, guys?
I wonder if that's a generational thing, because I know exactly what he's talking about. When he said I have extra guys, but
I was following, but I just figured maybe someone listening wouldn't have quite picked up on that.
Yeah,
so there's a question for any listeners out there. Do you guys refer to them as extra guys? But then again, like there are so few games out there where you actually use lives anymore.
Yeah.
You know.
A dying thing. A dying idea. The extra lives.
Yeah. You could thank Prince of Persia for that.
Yeah, it was definitely one of them. That game's a piece of shit. But, 2008, Prince of Persia.
That's a podcast for another time.
Oh, man.
It's a real polished shit. It's a real pretty looking shit. But anyway. DuckTales. Yeah, so I think this game's got some issues. Remastered definitely has issues. That pogo thing is, like, nearly a deal breaker. The cutscene stuff, it's a bit of a problem, but it didn't ruin it for me. And when I played through on hard, I just skipped everything. But I thought they did a really nice job, and like I just thought it was cool to be able to play this game again with like a different feel to it. And I like that it was different because, the thing that's tough about remakes is everybody wants something different out of a remake. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, do you want it to be the exact same thing as the original, or do you want it to have its own thing? You know what I mean? And I kind of had that. Sometimes I had that issue too. It's like, what do I want out of it?
And that exact problem is precisely why whenever somebody says, "Oh, you need to remake Chrono Trigger, you need to remake Final Fantasy VI," no, don't, because there's no way it could ever be right. Even in your own mind, you're going to think to yourself, they either changed too much or they made it too accurately. It can never be right. You know?
Exactly. I mean, even like the new like Wind Waker that's coming out, like a lot of people are like really crapping on the graphics and because they have all this bloom lighting, and they kind of drop the cell shading. Now they look more like toys almost.
Link has a beard. It's like,
yeah, he's got a beard. And like, you know, to a degree, I also agree. Like, I think it kind of sucks that they dropped the whole cell shaded thing, and I'm not big on the whole bloom, but at the same time, the original game still exists.
Yeah.
So, I mean, why not play with it for this re-release? Why not make something new?
It's theirs to remake, you know?
Right. So, you know, it's a little different with, like, movies and stuff when you remake movies. Like,
oh, like when George Lucas does it? Every time, he just makes them better and better.
Don't get me started.
Like, that, you know, when you do stuff like that, or even, I don't know...
Think about, like when Gus Van Sant remade Psycho, and it was like a shot-for-shot exact remake of the movie.
Right.
All the dialogue was exactly the same. It was all delivered exactly the same. Every single shot.
The point?
Yeah, and that was what it was met with. People were like, "Wow, this sounds like," leading up to it, it sounded incredible. But then when it came out, everyone was kind of like,
"Right,
yeah."
No, go ahead, Randy.
Well, I was gonna say, most remakes I don't like. There's very few remakes that I think I enjoy more than the original, and the only one that kind of comes to mind right now is the remake of Night of the Living Dead from like 1990. I much prefer the 1990 version versus the 1957 or 63 version or whenever the hell that came out.
Wait a second, are you talking about the version where they put in all the extra... It's still the black and white original, but they put in a bunch of extra footage that kind of like sets up...
No, they completely reshot it. It stars, instead of the main female lead, you know, being a blonde woman, she's a red-haired woman with short hair, and she actually does stuff in the movie instead of just sitting there looking scared.
I mean, on a second note, you're completely nuts because that original movie is a classic. And
look, I'm not knocking the original, but like out of the two, I think I would rather, like, if given like a Sunday afternoon where it's rainy and I don't feel like going and doing anything, I think I would rather watch the 1990 version. It's a good zombie movie.
But see, there you go. You know, there's just like, there's a difference between them, and there's one you like more. Like, so I think, Steve, what you said with the Psycho thing is like a great point. So like, why do it? So with video games, it's a little different because it's kind of hard for people to go back and play DuckTales. You know what I mean? Like, it's on this console that doesn't exist anymore. I mean, yeah, you can emulate it or whatever, but
or you could buy like what are they called? Triple NES.
A Retron or something.
Yeah, the Retro Duo and the Retro Triple, and
that thing that bursts into flames and burns your house down.
The
FC
Duo.
That's what it is. Called the Retron 5, and it's got all it is like slots. It's like a piece of plastic with slots all over it. It's got like Genesis, Super Nintendo, NES, Famicom, and Game Boy, which also does like Game Boy Advance in color. So it's like
nice.
all these things in one. But anyway, and it has ports for all the original controllers for these.
Is it UL listed? Is it UL listed?
No. No, it's not.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, so it's a weird thing. Like, I think even like Super Mario All-Stars, like they're really cool remakes, but the original Super Mario Brothers has like this deal breaker for a lot of people, where in the original Mario, when you're Big Mario and you punch a brick, he falls, like he drops, he goes right. In the All-Stars version, when you punch a brick,
he continues momentum a bit.
He kind of floats through the brick. He doesn't just drop, and it just ruins the momentum. So, you know, there's little weird things like that I could see bother people. Like, that to me is something that I could see why that would bother somebody. But they're cool remakes, and like that worked because it was all these games on one package. You know what I mean? Like, it was a whole different thing. I kind of don't know where I'm going with this point, but yeah, I guess I'll just go back to the thing of like, remakes are tough because it's hard to satisfy everybody. Mm-hmm. And how do you do it? Because
everybody has their own unique kind of nostalgic experience that they had with the original that is going to impact it differently, how they react to the new one.
Exactly. And I feel like for DuckTales, like, I was able to, and I feel like just lately in general, like me personally, I'm able to kind of like stand back and just be like, well, this is someone else's take on it, and they wanted to do something different, and they didn't fuck it up. You know, it's not like this terrible thing.
No, yeah, I wouldn't say that it's a terrible remake by any stretch of the imagination.
And the music is freaking awesome.
The music is freaking awesome. It's really, really good.
It's a beautiful game. It looks awesome. Every character, every monster you fight is beautifully animated and looks just like right out of the cartoon. I mean, it's awesome that we're at that point now where you can make a cartoon game that looks exactly like the cartoon you used to watch.
Could you imagine in 1989 if somebody showed this to you?
No, your head would explode.
Here's DuckTales the game. You'd be like, oh my god.
Head would totally explode.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could say that about any game today. But
I can say this, and I mean this with all sincerity. Like, everything else about the game is great. Like you said, beautiful animation, awesome music, controls seem to be dead on. But I think that my biggest problem with the game, I was bored out of my mind playing it. I was so bored playing it.
So then that means that whole way that they padded the game just didn't gel with you.
Yeah,
much.
Yeah. And I think that's a kind of a common problem for a lot of people. It's just it just bored me to tears. And coming from me, I think that's there's no coming back from that. If your game's boring, the rest of it could be awesome, and the rest of it is awesome in this. There's just no coming back from a boring game. You know. You can have terrible graphics, terrible sound, but if the game is fun and addictive, then that in my mind is the ideal game. This is the opposite of that.
I had fun. I played through it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad to hear that, though, man. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. I wanted to ask you. You have it on Wii U. Did you do it through its downloadable service, or did you go to the store and pick up a copy?
No, you have to do it through the download service.
Oh, you have to.
The only copy you can actually pick up is the PlayStation 3. But it just comes with a code. You're literally buying a box.
That's awesome.
Nice. Knew it was coming eventually, so there it is. At least it's a box, and it's not just like a little card that you get, where they have Club Penguin and stuff like that. It's actually selling you a box.
It's an actual box, and I think it has a pin in there and something else, like an extra little goodie.
We're getting there, man. I was just recently telling somebody they were having issues with Rome 2. They didn't want to. This person does not like Steam at all, and they were begging me. They were asking me. They're like, "How do I install this game without using Steam?" And I'm like, "Sorry, there's no way you can do it." I don't even know why they sent you discs in the mail, because as soon as you plug in that code, it's just going to download it from Steam anyway.
Wow.
No reason to print physical media anymore for almost any console at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there.
It scares me.
Does it? Are you scared?
I don't know.
I'm a little scared. I get it. I totally am a little bit scared. Going fully digital is a little bit creepy. On my PC, I don't mind that much, but for my
especially
consoles,
even just with these systems and the way that their services are working. I mean, think about it. PS3, none of this shit's going to be on PS4. So
right.
Dude, I did a whole Elder Speak about it.
Right, so, you did, right, about just the preservation of games and stuff. It's all right, well, my PlayStation's broken, I'm screwed, especially with Nintendo products, your Wii breaks, that's it. You get,
they don't have any sort of, unified account system set up.
Right. And apparently, they will never just carry their catalog of games over. They're just going to keep re-releasing those forever. Every system that comes out, they're just going to re-release Zelda and all that for $5. They have they'll nickel and dime people for eternity.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I go back and forth about how I feel about it, but and like you were saying, Randy, on PC I don't really have that problem, and I think we talked about this when we did the E3 wrap up show, but yeah. I install Windows again, I get a new hard drive, I get a new computer, I get a new laptop, I log into my Steam account, and my library is all there. And
we're being very trusting of Steam.
Very trusting.
They've given... The thing is Steam's been around now for...
it's
11 years?
Yeah, it's not going... It's not going anywhere tomorrow, but...
10 years?
But you never know.
Well, who knows?
They are top dog right now. Give them 5 years. People may hate them. You know.
And then all of a sudden, you have like 500 games on Steam. You know,
but by the same token, I mean,
I wonder how many I have on
Origin, Uplay, I mean, they all kind of support the same idea. Is that if I get a new computer and I install Origin, I can now re-download my Mass Effect 3. And,
Right.
You know,
well, PC is obviously doing it the best, right?
and that's why I feel like I give it a pass on PC because
right.
you know, you have that option to change your hardware and stuff, and it carries over. Like in 10 years, if I'm on Windows 12 or whatever, I can, you know, hopefully still install those equivalent of what those are and download my software again and play it.
PC has kind of hammered out those kinks. Like, I don't think consoles have done that yet. I still remember it. I'm still kind of mad. I'm still irked about this a little bit. My original copy of Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, I think I bought from Direct to Drive. And it was like when Direct to Drive first came out, and like digital sales were still relatively new. And I remember at the time they were like, you can download this twice, and then that's fucking it, you know. And since then, I think Direct to Drive changed hands, like company hands, like 2 or 3 times. There's no way I can go back and get that copy of Chaos Theory anymore.
Yeah, didn't GameFly buy them? I think it won't.
Yeah, now GameFly is the current owner of them. Yeah, they used to be owned by IGN, or they used to be independent, and then they were owned by IGN.
Oh, okay.
And now GameFly owns them.
I guess that doesn't really matter. I don't know
yeah, but my point is, like, we've gone through that. Now, if you buy a game through GameFly, you can re-download it as many times as you want. But originally, it was like download 2 times, and then you're done, and then they just delete it out of their library.
Yeah, they had their growing pains while no one was kind of paying attention. To be honest,
right.
I mean, you know, when Steam launched, everyone hated it, you know, and then when Half-Life 2 came out, everyone was like, okay, and then you know,
no, when Half-Life 2 came out, that was when everybody hated it. It was because you had to have Steam to play Half-Life 2, and nobody wanted to fucking install Steam because half the time Steam crashed, half the time Steam was validating files.
I had already been using it for a while for Counter-Strike. So I was kind of already inundated.
You know how I played Half-Life 2?
On the Xbox?
On Xbox.
Did you?
I did.
Heart attack guy picture.
I still enjoyed myself.
I remember that. I remember playing that version at E3 and just being like, this looks awful. What did they do?
Me having a gimped computer goes that far back, Randy.
Well, now we're up to speed.
Too.
Now we can
play. I played Doom 3 as well on Xbox. Yep.
But anyway, back to DuckTales. I really don't have anything else to say. Good graphics, beautiful sound. I think on PC it controlled really well. You know, using a 360 controller. It saddens me to hear that like the pogo system didn't work for you. But ultimately, I was bored by the game.
Wow, bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say it's worth checking out. I think it's a good remake of a classic game, and if you wanted to check out and experience the game, and you didn't want to go through all the emulator crap, then this is a good substitute. I don't know that I'd say pay $15 for it. I'd say maybe if you can catch it on a sale or something, then by all means.
I'd say no more than $5.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. If I were doing a video review of this, I would give it a don't bother.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd be that harsh, but yeah, I definitely. God, we're getting harsh, Randy.
Bringing out Jesus. The maracas of death.
Now I want to play through Rayman Legends so I can give that a don't bother.
Rayman Legends was really good. Really, really good.
I'm sure.
I was like, oh, am I done playing DuckTales yet? I would really like to go back to playing Rayman.
Oh, see, maybe
Rayman Legends is really good. I'm surprised that you don't like it.
It's not that I don't like it. I never played Legends. My opinion is based on Origins.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't know. You know what I want to say? I do wish, though, that maybe they did include, like, an original mode that kind of cut out all the nonsense.
That would be really cool.
Yeah,
that's a good. I was actually going to think of that.
Serve both audiences.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
A nice upscaled version of the game that works natively with whatever controller you're playing on.
Right.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Yeah, I mean, it just strip out all the cutscenes and that kind of thing, and that would have been really cool. Even if it was unlockable after you beat the game.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I thought you meant like an actual an upscaled version.
No, like in addition to, kind of like they did with Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and what was that game they tacked it onto? It was like that PSP game, the original Castlevania PSP game.
Well, Chronicles?
Might have been Chronicles.
Oh, what? How they had like the remake of Dracula X and then they put in the original Dracula X?
Well, they did the remake of Dracula X, but there was a point you could unlock Symphony of the Night in Dracula X.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. They would do it like that. So like you'd have to do something in the game to unlock the original DuckTales.
Right, but I don't even mean the original NES version, like Pixel. I mean,
I
like,
see what you mean now. Yeah.
this game, but it follows the structure of the old game.
Right. I got you.
Might
That
make-
would have been
yeah.
interesting. That would have been interesting because in my mind, that's what I thought this game was going to be.
Right.
And I was surprised to find out that it wasn't. So.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much I hated Webby's voice until now. Just drills right into my brain.
Poor Webby Gale.
Who's your favorite DuckTales character? Bill.
Oh, it's got to be Scrooge.
Okay.
Although when I was a kid, Launchpad.
Really?
Really?
I was so happy when he was in Darkwing Duck. totally lost you guys there. Totally lost you guys.
I'm gonna put some. I'll edit in some cricket sounds.
Mine was what the hell's his name? Gyro Duck?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say as well.
Well, there's
Gizmo.
Gyro.
Gizmo.
There's Gyro.
Gizmo, yeah.
Mechanic.
Blather and Blatherskites, motherfuckers.
Yeah. Gizmo Duck.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
I still remember his saying that he would have to say to like, that's a cool superpower to begin with. It was kind of like Iron Man, but better. Because he's on a unicycle and he says the magic words and they just like come to him.
I like Doofus a lot too.
I love
Doofus.
Yeah. He's the one that always would like screw up, but then somehow he would like save the day by screwing up. I hated him. I hate that guy. Isn't it amazing though that this whole like expanded universe all came from Donald Duck? Like if you think about it.
Well, Scrooge came from Mickey Mouse's Scrooged, though, right? Or
Right.
Mickey Mouse's...
Scrooge has been around before that. Are you thinking of like the Scrooge?
I'm thinking of the Charles Dickens.
Yeah, I'm thinking of A
retelling.
Christmas Carol.
Scrooge has been around for like since like the 50s.
Really?
He was before Christmas Carol?
Yeah, dude.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, no, he really was. Here, let me look him up real quick.
See, I thought that he came from A Christmas Carol. Like,
No,
So did
he
I.
existed,
Yeah.
like- actually, you know how he wears the red in the NES version? He wears like the red coat.
yeah.
That's what he wears in the 50s.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
You're making shit up.
No, Uncle Scrooge comic book starring Uncle Scrooge and his nephew Donald and his grandsons. Basically, DuckTales existed since the 50s. Huey, Dewey, and Louie robbing around their adventures in Duckburg. First published in March of 1952. So
Get the
DuckTales-
fuck out of here.
Yeah,
I
so
did not know that.
DuckTales was essentially based on a comic book from the 50s. Here's a picture of Scrooge, which looks just like the NES Scrooge, which people listening to this podcast can't see, but I shared it with them in the...
See, now we should have done history, because that fucking blew my mind.
Yeah, maybe I should have done history. God damn it.
Well, we're doing it now.
Yeah, we just did.
Yeah, a little late.
Yeah, you're right.
A little late
You're
history.
right. Look at that. Look at that. Holy shit. We'll
Yeah.
put that in the show notes. We'll put a link to that. For,
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
For anyone.
So yeah, it has definitely existed forever.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I just always figured my first time I ever saw Uncle Scrooge was in the Mickey Mouse, Charles Dickens, Mickey's
Yeah.
Christmas Carol or whatever.
Well,
because
because it would make sense that they invent this character Scrooge for a thing where Scrooge is in it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, that's just what I thought. And then I figured because of the popularity of that then they decided to, make this whole show and bring in all these characters. Because DuckTales is centered around Huey, Dewey, and Louie more so than, like, Donald, I think, shows up every now and then in the DuckTales, not very often.
Yeah.
And when he does, you wonder why he talks like that and everyone else talks normal.
Right. But yeah, it's crazy.
He's got a speech impediment, even for like the cartoon world. That's all it is.
Duck, even by duck standards, he has a speech impediment.
In fact, several stories were written by Barks and published in Uncle Scrooge or adapted as episodes of DuckTales. So DuckTales
Get the
has existed
fuck
forever.
out of here. That is crazy.
I should have done history. God damn it.
Disney, man. Disney recycling their content.
Yeah.
You're worse than
They're-
Nintendo.
How
Yeah, they
dare
are.
they? How dare they? This is what people are going to be like when there's like some kind of Super Mario podcast 20 years from now. Do you know they've been doing Mario since 1982?
The first Mario game wasn't Mario Sunshine?
Did you know that the first Mario game wasn't even called Mario? It was called Donkey Kong. He wasn't even called Mario. He was called Jumpman.
That's what it'll be like. Yeah, so there's like this rich DuckTales history here.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Disney,
Apparently
the original
you
Nintendo.
can buy like big. What are they called? Like when they have a bunch of the comics together in like a book, like a graphic novel or like a
Yeah. Like just a series binding of it.
right that you can buy like a bunch of them on Amazon and stuff. I had thought about it because apparently they're pretty cool. They have like cool art and stuff.
Phil buys the funnest shit.
Well, I didn't buy it. I thought about buying it. I buy the dumbest shit.
For some reason, I just wanted Phil to do the Antonio Banderas gif, like
that one.
Yeah.
I like the new one going around where he's saying "fuck you" to the computer. Did you see that one?
Oh man, DuckTales. Who knew?
Yeah. There you go.
So much more to it.
Yep. But yeah, so all right, Randy, you give it a don't bother. Steve, you're I say yay. So this is all the whole spectrum.
Mixed right across the board. That's kind of awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. I think I'm between the and the go ahead and get it on sale kind of thing.
Cool.
But that's
Fair
usually
enough.
when I very rarely advise anybody to buy a game at full price anymore, so that's not really fair to
come
Duck.
on, full
That's
price
not
here is $15. I mean, it's not that bad.
That's true. You just think about it in terms of games and how often you've gotten games for cheap, you know?
I know. I've become a spoiled
But
bastard.
think about Rayman Legends. Like, that's $60.
$40 if you play it on PC.
Well, that's good. So yeah, I mean, you can buy like
I think, anyway.
a bunch of $15 games. You know what I mean? Like to make up for that one $60 game.
True.
It's true.
You can have some great experiences for under $10 nowadays, and
You
that's
sure
a
can,
beautiful
man.
thing.
You sure can. But
And
yeah,
I'll mention, you know what? I'm gonna mention a game at the end here. It has nothing to do with DuckTales, so sorry, but there's a great game. You guys both should check it out. It's called Shelter.
I've heard of it.
okay.
And we talked about. I mentioned it the other day, I think, and it's by the guys who did PID. So there's the Game Club connection.
Which we all thought was shit. by the
We
way.
kind of shit all over PID, so sorry. But however, the redemption being is that they have a new game out called Shelter. It's a really interesting experience. Probably again will go on sale, but you can get it for under $10.
So where you play as like a family of badgers, right?
You play the mother badger. You're a mommy badger, and you've got your baby badgers, and you need to like escort them around and feed them. You have to keep them fed. You have to
You
keep
will
them.
want to feed them.
You will want to feed them. That's like an awful inside joke. I think I wonder what percentage of anybody who listens to this would even understand what that means. But okay.
Like two.
Anyway, so I don't want to get off on a huge tangent. But anyway, Game Club Connection, game we reviewed in the past and did not like was PID. They have a new game out called Shelter. Really good. Also, the name of my favorite Hare Krishna hardcore band. But I guess that's incidental. Yeah.
Chirp,
All right.
chirp, chirp.
Cool, man.
Yeah, this is the crickets episode. So
Aw.
no, it was fine. It was fun. It's fun being back here doing this with you guys, and that brings us to the sad little bit of news, I guess, that we're going to be taking a little bit of a hiatus with Game Club for a while.
Why?
Well, I thought this was you.
Well, I can't join, but you just keep going. You can
Oh
go at me.
no, well, it's
It ain't the same.
not the same.
Come on.
It's not the same. Sorry, Chris Geehan. No, it's not the same. You were a great third chair, but it's the Holy Trinity, man.
Do the Badger game.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Our schedule, like the next game, we're definitely doing on Game Club. So don't unsubscribe. Anyone listening, don't freak out and like delete us out of your iTunes right away. We're not stopping. We're coming back definitely in October with Castlevania, right?
Oh,
We're
yeah.
doing
That's what I would.
Bloodlines?
Yeah, we have to.
I would like
So
to
that
do
we're
Bloodlines
going to
for
revisit.
October.
We're going to do our Halloween spectacular we do every year with the Castlevania game, and it will be Bloodlines, and it will be awesome. So that will be back, and that's. I mean, really, we're already more than a week into September, so that's not that far off. We're going to do it sometime in October, but we may try to do some in between now and then. But as far as I'm concerned, like official Game Club stuff with the three of us, is going to be on a little bit of hold for a while, just because of real life commitments and stuff that are coming up in the next several weeks. And rather than keep telling you guys that an episode's coming up and pushing it back, I think it's just, we'll kind of just see how it goes. And if something comes up and Randy and I are like, hey, let's do this, like the Badger game.
Yeah. Not only that, but like the review schedule, just the review schedule is hell between now and the holidays. I feel bad for people who are like, are you going to review Game X? It's like, I'm not even going to have time to even look at Game X, because like for the next 4 weeks I've got just piles of games to review. So yeah, if you want to know what we're going to be reviewing next, go to Facebook and hang out there. We always announce what we're going to review there.
Yeah, if you're following us on Facebook or Twitter or any of those places, usually we're putting information up. And if you're on YouTube, obviously you're going to see it anyway if you're subscribed to us on there. If you're watching us right now on YouTube and you're not subscribed, please go ahead and click the subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. If you're listening to the show on iTunes or any other aggregate device program, if there's a way to vote us up, give us some stars. We'd greatly appreciate that. We'll keep the content coming, so don't, like I said, don't unsubscribe. Just know that it may be a bit spotty between now and Halloween. So that's pretty much it for all that.
Yep.
And if you want to see what Phil's up to, you can follow him on Twitter.
Yeah. At
Shamoozle, because he's doing stuff. I
got some stuff coming. This is gonna be a tough month. I'm already kind of starting to stroke out a little bit here, but yeah, I don't know. Hopefully it'll be cool.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. We'll be looking forward to seeing what it is. Secret stuff. Stuff.
Yeah.
And
two things. I got two secret stuffs. Well, the one's kind of
right.
Not like yeah.
So yeah, follow Phil, and also click on his face if you're on YouTube, and
click
go to his click all over his face, all over his filthy face. Click on it and go to his YouTube channel and subscribe to that as well, because most definitely you'll be seeing some stuff pop up there. And in the meantime, also Randy is got a bunch of reviews coming out.
Yeah.
And Randy and I have been working on a new podcast, which just went up on iTunes.
The pilot episode.
Today. The pilot episode. Big asterisk. Huge asterisk. This one's not going to be on YouTube if you're watching us there. We had some audio issues that were acceptable for an audio version, but not so much for the video version.
No.
That show is called The Link Shell, and it is covering all things Final Fantasy XIV. Because we're way into that right now, and so if you're listening, check that out. Also, because we're going to be trying to do an episode a week of that. I don't know how that's going to work out, but
our wives are going to kill us.
That's the idea. I don't know. That was a thinly veiled room reference. That's the idea.
That's the
idea. So anyway, yeah. So thanks, guys, very much for listening to the show this time around. We appreciate it. We really appreciate all the feedback and the comments you guys leave for us on Twitter. Nobody leaves us comments on Twitter, so why don't you do that? You guys leave us feedback on YouTube, which we really appreciate, because sometimes it gets a little heated, sometimes it gets a little crazy.
Sometimes
I like the heated ones.
Sometimes everybody hates me on there.
Sometimes
like
you all hate Phil, and that's not.
I did. I said to Randy, I probably said it to both of you. I was like, I'm like the hated guy. Why? Why am I the hated guy?
I don't think that's the case, but I think
you're the hated guy.
No, I don't think that's the case.
Like every podcast has the hated guy, but that's all right.
Nah. But no, we do appreciate that you guys take the time even to call us assholes. I mean, it's still a couple seconds out of your day to post on YouTube.
Well,
so.
all right, I'll put it this way: have you guys ever did anyone in the comments ever want to punch you in the face, or?
Yeah. Oh, I get all kinds of nasty comments, dude.
Well,
I mean, not all the time.
Well, that's true. I guess you get it on all the other videos.
I haven't gotten anything that bad now, but
don't worry, Steve. I'll put something in the next video. I'll punch that.
I'm sure on the Final Fantasy podcast, I'll piss someone off, because that's a very very passionate and knowledgeable fan base. So
yes,
someone's gonna call me out on something. But anyway. thanks guys very much. It was a lot of fun doing the show with both of you again.
Yeah.
That thank you was directed at you two, not so much anyone else.
You're welcome.
It was good to be back on the Geek Club.
And I'm looking forward to doing another episode as soon as humanly possible.
Yeah, get playing that Bloodlines. You got a lot of time. You know it's coming.
Yeah, you're right.
Complete it.
I know the
Complete
way
it.
I am. Yeah, I should get in there because I don't want to be. You know what? Last year at Halloween, I got some shit on YouTube because I did some stupid stuff and forgot how to do certain things. And
Well, we did Symphony last year, or Super Castlevania 4?
I can't remember. I thought last year was Super Castlevania 4.
I think last year was
wow,
Super.
god damn!
Yeah.
How many years have we been doing this?
We've been doing this for like 10, 20 years, easy. Wow. Easy.
Well, yeah, this is our third Halloween.
We've been married for 1,000, and we've been doing this for about 10 or 20 years.
That is
Well,
wild.
we started like May of that, before we did Symphony.
Right, and that was like 3 years ago. We hit our third 3-year anniversary this year, and I don't think we even really kind of acknowledged it.
Yeah,
we
I guess not.
also passed our 50 episode milestone and didn't really acknowledge it
Wow.
either. We were
Wow.
just kind of like, okay,
It's all
there we
right.
go.
Nobody
Time
sent
flies
any
when you're having
presents
fun.
either. What's the deal with that?
What's this?
I said nobody sent any presents in either. What's the deal with that?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Why aren't people sending us the games to play for Game Club? Where is that? Where are those people? Well, you always see like these shows where like, hey, we got this sent to us. You know what I mean? And then they do their Let's Play.
Oh yeah, like so and so, listener so and so from Missouri sent me a free PS Vita to play on. I'm like, really?
Everybody says you should play this game. Get 3 copies.
I'd love to. Would love to play it.
We also accept Amazon gift cards and Steam gift cards if you're really so inclined.
Gamersgate is good to us in that regard, though. If we need
That's
something
true.
to play,
I know.
they'll
I'm
typically.
I'm being stupid.
And now that Phil has a real computer, a real honest-to-God computer, when he's done doing his cartoon, his super secret cartoons, we're going to play some real games.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can handle real games.
All right, I'm done.
All right, good night, everybody. We'll see you back here for Castlevania Bloodlines soon. Take care.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.